Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Amy Vilela joins us. She's running against Dina Titus for CD1 in the Democratic primary. Here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Hello, is this D&D Roofing?
Yes, it is. How may I help you?
You did such a great job on my roof. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner.
Oh, can I speak to your supervisor?
Sure.
How may I help you?
I love your work. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner. We're all owners. Well, that's why at D&D we work so hard to keep your home safe and sound.
Oh, no wonder.
D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal. Local, employee-owned, here for you.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Do you play golf? The Optimist Club of Reno is hosting the inaugural Ray Pezzanella Memorial Charity Golf Tournament on June 3rd at the Lake Course at Red Hawk Golf and Resort. For more information, go to pezgolf.org. Funds raised go to benefit local children's programs.
Nevada Newsmakers Studio is located at the headquarters of the Nevada Trucking Association. Motion and purpose are a truck's greatest virtue.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we are very pleased to welcome to the program for the first time Amy Vilela. She is Democratic candidate for CD1 running against Dina Titus in the primary. Welcome to the program.
Well, thank you. And thank you for having me on Nevada Newsmakers.
You are very welcome. There are not a lot of people across the state who know you, so please give us a little of your background and why you're running.
Sure. My name, again, is Amy Vilela, and I am running to represent the people in Nevada's 1st District, because I believe we deserve more. For far too long, our status quo politicians have really been complacent, and what working people need is a champion, someone who understands the struggle and will take that lived experience with them to the halls of Congress and fight for us. And I know that struggle firsthand. I have that lived experience. I'm ready to fight, and I'm ready to be that champion.
Okay, before we get to other questions, what experience have you had that was such an issue for you?
So, I grew up in poverty, first being raised by a single mother. And then as a single mother myself, I know what it's like to have to rely on programs like Medicaid, WIC, and food stamps for survival. At times I was unhoused. I know what it's like to have to decide between paying the gas and electric bill and putting food on the table. And then, those experiences really stayed with me. And then I experienced something that, no parent should ever have to endure. I never thought I'd be in politics, but in 2015, my daughter Shalyn was deciding to go into school and decided to come back home to Las Vegas to complete her schooling. She drove 22 hours from Kansas City to Las Vegas, and she arrived at my home with a red swollen leg. And, when she arrived, she said she was in pain, and I told her, well, go get seen. I got a phone call from her from the emergency room, and they were asking her immediately upon arrival, do you have insurance? And my daughter replied, no. And when she told them she still wanted to be seen and there was something really wrong with her leg. And she Went back into the back part of the emergency room, and I got another call. And this time my daughter was crying. And she was telling me, Mommy, they're not helping me. And I said, you must tell them what you need. And she says, I am. I'm begging them for further testing. I'm begging them for something for pain. And they've told me to go get insurance and see a specialist. They weren't a doctor's office. My daughter was Black with sickle cell trait. She had just driven 22 hours. She was on birth control, and she had sickle cell trait. These are all things that are indicators and risk factors for a blood clot. But because they didn't do the necessary medical examination that was called for with her symptoms, she was sent home, and she did not know she had a blood clot, and she had to go back to Kansas City to finalize some paperwork to begin schooling here in Las Vegas. And in the airplane, the blood clot dislodged. My daughter ended up dying from a massive pulmonary embolism, simply because she could not get the care that was required and necessary, the basic care. And we're talking about a bedside ultrasound and blood thinners. But instead of giving her that treatment, they did what's called a wallet biopsy and decided the level of care that she could afford. And I had to do what no parent should have to do, and that was hold my daughter as she died a needless death. And, it wasn't just healthcare that got me to the position of where I got involved in politics. Really, it was my entire life experience. As a single mom, I had done what most people thought, and we were told with the American dream is if you just work hard enough, that you're safe. So I had put myself through college in the evenings, working multiple jobs and going to school, becoming the first in my family to get a degree. I met my husband in 2008, who was an immigrant from Brazil and an officer in the Air Force. And we married, and we were creating this wonderful, multilingual, multicultural family. My daughter was an honor roll student going to college. At the point that I experienced this loss, we thought we had finally made it. We had bought into that false narrative that, if you just work hard enough, you're safe. And we thought we were there. We thought we were safe. I was living that executive lifestyle. My kids were blossoming. Our family was in a wonderful place. And then I experienced the death of my daughter needlessly because of failed leadership throughout the decades and failed promises to the American people. That is why my daughter is not with me today. And that is what catapulted me into politics. I believe we need more representatives in DC who have this type of lived experience, because it's not just me that's experiencing this. There are many people here in Las Vegas that are going through similar trials and tribulations that I had to endure. And they need the type of leadership that will go and take that experience with them and fight with everything they've got to really bring about true change for the working class.
Obviously, I think all of us have great sympathy for you and condolences on the death of your daughter. Let's take a break and we'll come back and look at some of the more practical aspects of running for this office after this timeout.
The Do It Right guys at Nevada Heating have one mission. Your air conditioner breaks down today. We fix it today. Why sweat for days while your air is down when Nevada Heating can get the job done today and you can get cool again? For nearly 50 years, locally owned Nevada Heating has been getting the job done right. Call today at 323-5585 or see us online at nevadaheating.com.
Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful. Brian Culpa Photography was born in the rolling hills of Massachusetts, and now he can help you experience the stunning beauty of Nevada in a whole new way through the power of flight. Flying has always been a passion for Brian, and at Brian Culpa Photography, he can make your imagination soar. Brian has the creative mind and tools to tell your unique story. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Amy Vilela. She is Democratic candidate for CD1. She's running against Dina Titus. So I asked this question of a lot of people who are running for the first time, but they're running for high office, whether it be somebody who's running for the United States Senate, or in this case, a congressional district. Why start at the top when you're running against somebody who is so established and has risen to such a high level in the Congress in your own party, rather than going after an office where, with your passion, you might have a much better chance of making it into that job?
Well, I think we see across the board that right now people are struggling, and there are crises that people are enduring and that we are about to face that have an urgency that is not being met. We have seen across the board that promises have been made by the Democratic Party that are not being fulfilled. And it really puts this seat at risk. And I believe that part of the problem is that, again, we have leadership that does not have the lived experience that they're trying to govern with. I am planning to use my lived experience. Not only does it, to help be the type of leader, to give the type of leadership that I would expect from my representative, my lived experience also, it informs my decisions as a candidate and informs my decisions in this campaign, and it will inform what type of leader I will be. We are seeing a huge, difference in the amount of enthusiasm in this district than what we would expect out of what this district was historically, and as being the deepest blue district in the state. And this isn't an opinion of mine. This numbers speak for themselves. So when I talk about, complacency in leadership, I think you'd be hard pressed to find a better example of this than my opponent. If we just look at one metric, and that's voter turnout, cycle after cycle, whether it's midterm or presidential, we are seeing that she has consistently delivered 20,000 fewer votes than her opponent, the opponents that up in the second district up north, where, as you know, since you're in that area, they lose by a landslide to the GOP. And, again, this was the deepest blue district in the state. And so why does this matter? Why is this significant? Because, this seat should have been delivering the most Democratic votes out of any of the districts. And the opposite is true. And time after time, it has historically delivered the least amount of Democratic votes out of any of the districts.
And you mean percentage-wise? But let me ask you this: financially, how much money are you going to have to raise to make this a competitive race with Congresswoman Titus?
I definitely think on the low ball we're talking about $800,000. We need to raise enough to win. We don't have to outraise Titus. We just need to raise enough. And we have, a huge amount of volunteers that are on the ground for us, working the streets and knocking on doors. We have people who are volunteering. We see a lot of enthusiasm in this district. What we are planning to do with this campaign is run on people power. That's how you get people involved and get them excited to actually come out and vote. And so we definitely have a pathway to victory. We feel very confident in that pathway, and we're on track.
Okay, have you reached out to the DCCC to see if they will support you, or will they continue to support Congresswoman Titus?
What we're really concentrated right now on this campaign is meeting voters where they're at. And that means getting out into the community, working with those frontline leaders in the community that have been far too long ignored. I mean, they need to know that they're going to have a representative that will give them a voice in the legislation that they'll be crafting, give them a seat at the table. This campaign is really, when I say it's people powered, I mean that literally. We are out there talking with people, talking with voters who have never been reached out to by their representative, who many times don't even know her name. We are having to re-engage them, get them excited to come out and vote. And that's really what we're concentrating on at this point.
Okay, so as we all know, there's a split both in the Republican Party and the Democratic Party into two wings at this point in time. And in the Democratic Party, it's easy enough to say that you have the Biden supporters and the Bernie supporters. So I am presuming that you would have been a supporter of Bernie Sanders. Would that be correct?
I most definitely was. I was the state co-chair for Bernie Sanders.
Okay, and so do you worry that, Dina Titus was on this program a couple of weeks ago, and she said that this went from being the safest Democratic seat to the riskiest Democratic seat. Do you worry that your candidacy and your attacks on the Congresswoman may open the door to allow a Republican to come in, if there is a red wave in Nevada, and take that seat?
Well, I think the fact that we see so many Republicans specifically running in District 1 shows that they see that there's an opportunity in this seat. And again, I think it goes back to what we were speaking to previously, that the numbers speak for themselves. This seat is already at risk. And it comes down to, again, what constituents are looking for in a leader. And I would say that if my opponent is the nominee for this seat, that this district is at risk. We've already seen that there has been the inability to turn out voters when it was the safest blue seat in this state. People really need to know that they have a reason to go out and vote, and that they have someone who is going to go and fight for those issues that are really going to bring about, change in their lives, substantial change. I mean, we need to be on the forefront and delivering on the promises that we've made as Democrats. And I would dare say that I am the real Democrat in this, and that I am fighting for policies that we as a party should be fighting for, as we are touting that we are the party of the people. And if we go back in history, we can see that, one of the most popular presidents of all time was running on a New Deal, things that we're still fighting for this day, right? Running on the issues, the kitchen table issues that the working class need to have a champion for in Congress. That is really what's going to make the difference in this district and ensure that we have a victory come in the general. And it's so important, not only for this seat, but up the ballot as well. If we have people showing up in this district, it will help us ensure we keep the governor's seat as well as our Senate seat.
Okay. And obviously, Congresswoman Titus would be happy to disagree with you on pretty much every point that you're making here. And she feels that she has been as progressive as can be in all these years. And if you look at her record, one could certainly feel that way. But another question to you is that say you were to win this seat, I don't know what number Congresswoman Titus sits at this point in time in the hierarchy, but you would be Congresswoman 435 if you were to be elected. So your ability to have power would be pretty close to zero. You'd be doing constituent service for the first term. So how do you feel about this seat losing power to be able to help the citizens of Nevada?
Well, firstly, this race has never been about who's more progressive. It's about what type of leadership this district needs and deserves. And, when it comes to having power in Congress, I would be remiss not to remind you that a lot of the popular things that we see are being pushed through really have come from the progressives in Congress pushing on this administration. And so, I would not be just coming in by myself, but joining other progressives who are also fighting for these policies that are so important to the working class. And, it's not enough just to, come to Congress and be a co-sponsor. Real power comes through how are you actually fighting to advance these policies in Congress. We saw recently that, when the housing moratorium, rent moratorium was about to expire, it was the progressives who were sitting on the steps of Congress that pushed them to expand that eviction moratorium. That's the type of leadership we need. Someone who's going to go and use every tool at their disposal, to make sure that we're pushing that agenda forth. And you can see that with my good friend Cori Bush and how impactful she has been in her first year of Congress. We need to have more Democrats and people who have this lived experience are taking that fire from that lived experience with them to Congress, who know what it's like to be unhoused. For instance, in this position, I knew what it's like to be unhoused, as my friend Cori did. I understand what that feels like and the complete and utter devastation you feel when you're enduring that, and how important it is to sit on those steps of Congress instead of taking off and going on vacation or whatever else you might be doing in the moment. There is an urgency when you understand what the people of your district are going through that drives progressives in Congress to fight and sit on the steps like they did for that extension of the moratorium.
Okay, so would you be supportive, if you were to become elected, of re-electing Speaker Pelosi as the Speaker?
I am going to be supportive of making sure that I am supporting people who are actually going to be fighting for the issues that we are. I mean, I'm not in Congress now, and I would like to have those conversations with Representative Pelosi. I think that every decision we make has to come from a place of knowledge, and having the opportunity to speak with them about what they envision for this next cycle in Congress. So, without having those conversations, I wouldn't have an answer for that at this moment. I think it's important that we use every opportunity, every vote to advance the policies that would really have a true and meaningful effect on the constituents in this district.
Okay, let's take a break. We'll come back with one more segment here with Amy Vilela right after this timeout. I'm here at the Carson Valley Inn in Minden with Joey Whitaker, and you've got a lot of convention space and meeting breakout space for people. Tell us about what's available.
Well, we can handle a group up to about 250, and anywhere as small as 10 or 15. So it really depends on what you're looking for, what the customer's looking for. We're open to anything. It's a beautiful drive, and if you live in South Reno, it's probably about 30-35 minutes, so it's real easy to get to. It's not a long way to get away to the Carson Valley Inn.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Truck drivers are some of the hardest working people you'll meet, delivering over 70% of America's freight and 92% of Nevada's. When there's a natural disaster, they're delivering critical supplies to help those communities recover and rebuild. Every sector of the economy and our nation's military rely on truck drivers. So let's take a moment to say thank you. On the open road or city streets, our truck drivers are rolling to make our economy and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Amy Vilela. She is running in CD1 against Dina Titus in the Democratic primary. It's fascinating to hear you speak. First of all, would you be willing to debate Congresswoman Titus if she's willing to do that with you on this program?
Absolutely. I look forward to that. I think the people of the district deserve to hear from both of us and to hear our visions on how we would lead and represent for this district.
Have you approached her campaign about doing that? Has your campaign done so?
I don't think they have. I think we've responded via the media to her saying she'd like to debate.
So she would like to debate. Okay, so I'm throwing out the invitation here for you to be able to do that. Does it concern you that, at this point, once Judith Whitmer became the head of the state Democratic Party, the Democratic Victory Fund suddenly was established in Northern Nevada. Money that was going to go towards Catherine Cortez Masto was moved out of the state party into that group. How do you feel? Because this is a real split in the party.
Mm-hmm. I think it's unfortunate because the fact that this leadership was elected shows that there is a real movement within the Democratic base here in Nevada. We definitely need to be moving our party in a direction to where it is, serving the needs of the people of Democrats, right? We have to make our base stronger and excite them. For me, I'm really just very concentrated right now on ensuring that we're reaching out to the people within this district and that we are, making sure that the people who have been not had a voice for so long have a voice and that they're part of this campaign and that they know that there is a future that involves them being at the table and being, key stakeholders in this district's leadership and representation.
And that's where we have to leave it. We will put out the offer to Congresswoman Titus to see if she's willing to debate you on the program, and we hope to see you in the near future. So thank you very much for doing this. It was nice to get to know you.
Thank you so much. And I really hope that I'm able to earn the support from people in this district because I think we really deserve more.
And that's where we have to leave it. Thank you so much, and we'll be right back.
Hey guys, are you watching the game at a friend's or the bar again because you can't watch at home with your wife? Or worse, because she kicked you out and kept your couch, your flat screen, and your kids? What's the one thing a man needs when he loses a good woman? A good lawyer. And when he loses a bad woman, he needs a great lawyer. What makes a good woman a bad woman? You tell me. You're the one that can't watch the game in your own home. I'm men's rights attorney Marilyn York, and I represent men in divorce, custody, and family law matters.
Ahern Rentals began as Signal Gas Station on Las Vegas Boulevard. Founder John Ahern grew the business by offering rentals. His son Don built on John's legacy, growing Ahern Rentals into the largest independently owned American rental company, with 89 locations in 30 states. Don also brought his experience and vision to equipment manufacturing with Extreme Manufacturing and Snorkel. Today, Ahern Rentals continues to bring its family values to a new generation. Learn more at ahern.com.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
As always, you can watch Nevada Newsmakers 24 hours a day at NevadaNewsmakers.com. You can also check our archive going back to 2005 on our website. Again, NevadaNewsmakers.com. We'll see you on the next show.